Every dream comes with a bill. That's a truth I learned very early, and the longer I live, the more I see how true it is. It sounds a bit cold, right? Because people love to dream. We are very good at dreaming. Who hasn't ever sat quietly for a moment and imagined a bigger house, a better job, a deeper relationship, a healthier body, a freer life? Imagination paints with very broad brushstrokes. It makes everything look beautiful and easy. But there's one thing most people don't see: the bill hidden beneath the dream. Every ambition has a silent price. Sometimes it's printed in bold, crystal clear, like payment due up front. Sometimes it's written in invisible ink, and only after you're already in the game do you realize, oh, so that's where it was. And trust me, it's always there. Nothing worthwhile is free. If it's free, it's usually not worth much. There is always a trade-off. Maybe it's the hours you have to pour in after work, while others are zoning out in front of a screen. Maybe it's early mornings traded for sleeping in on the weekends. Maybe it's the comfort of staying who you are that you have to give up to become someone you haven't yet grown into. I remember a time when I sat in a small room, thinking about everything I wanted: financial freedom, influence, the ability to travel, to give more, and to build something truly meaningful. At first, it all felt very pleasant. The mind is a wonderful artist, but reality is an accountant with no mercy. Dreams are beautiful until the bill shows up, and when it does, there's only one question left: am I willing to pay the price? If you're pursuing a goal, or even just thinking about one, stay until the end of this video, because principle number 7 might be the thing that helps you stop buying dreams with intention and start paying with daily action. Principle 1, every dream comes with a bill. I want to open the first principle with a sentence that sounds a bit cold, but the longer I live, the more I believe it's true. Every dream comes with a bill. At first glance, it may sound harsh, because we like to dream in comfort. Dreaming makes life feel expansive. More doors, more possibilities. Who hasn't ever sat still for a moment and imagined a bigger house, a better job, stronger health, a deeper relationship, a freer life? I was like that too. And the problem isn't dreaming. Dreaming is good. Dreaming is what keeps a person from dying inside. The problem is this: when imagination paints, it paints with very broad strokes. It only shows you the front of the picture. But life always keeps a page on the back. On that page, it clearly states, you want this, what will you pay for it? Many people never see that page. They only see the outcome. They only see the finish line. They only see the feeling of, I'll be happy when I get there. But the bill is usually folded underneath the dream. Sometimes it's printed in bold, very clear, like, pay up front. Sometimes it's written in invisible ink, and you can only read it once you've already started chasing the goal. And I want you to remember this. Whether you see it or not, the bill always exists. No worthwhile goal is free. If it's free, it's usually not worth much, because the things that truly change your life always demand a price. Maybe the price is time, hours after work while others are resting. Maybe the price is early mornings traded for nights of sleeping in a little more. Maybe the price is discomfort when you have to start learning from scratch. And sometimes the price is the hardest thing of all: giving up the comfort of staying the same person to become someone you haven't yet grown into. You see, the price isn't always money. Sometimes the price is saying no to things that make you weaker. Sometimes the price is saying yes to things that make you grow, even when you're scared. I remember a period of time sitting in my small room, thinking about everything I wanted: financial freedom, the ability to give, influence, something truly meaningful. It felt very comfortable back then. Your mind is a brilliant artist, but reality is an accountant who shows no mercy. Dreams are beautiful until the bill appears. And when the bill appears, it brings a question no one can avoid. Am I willing to pay? Many people don't fail because they lack ability. They fail because they want to buy success on credit. They want the reward first and pay later. They want the pleasure but not the journey. They want the trophy but not the training. But life doesn't work that way. Every goal demands payment, sometimes with sweat, sometimes with discomfort, sometimes with very lonely hours when you ask yourself, is this worth it? And here's a truth I want you to hear very slowly. The pain of discipline weighs only a few ounces, but the pain of regret weighs a ton. You can pay a few ounces every day. Wake up a little earlier, do things a little better, focus a little more, persist a little longer, or you'll pay a ton later, when you look back and realize you lived too long inside the words, if only. So I'm not telling you to become a harsh person. I just want you to become someone awake. Don't be shocked when the bill appears. In fact, expect it. Because the moment you see the price is the moment you step from illusion into reality. I want you to say one sentence as a commitment, not for anyone else, for yourself. If there's a price for the life I want, show me the number. If the price is time, I'll find the time. If the price is effort, I'll increase the effort. If the price is sacrifice, I'll sacrifice the right things. Because when you can say that, you stop buying dreams with intention and you start paying with action. Pause for a moment and ask yourself, what hard thing are you avoiding today? That is actually the bill for the goal you say you really want. If you can answer that, you've just found your true starting point. And next I'll show you the rule behind every achievement, a simple rule that no one escapes. I call it the law of exchange. Principle 2, the law of exchange. There is a law that governs all achievement, whether you believe in it or not. It's so simple that many people dismiss it, but it's so powerful that no one escapes it. I call it the law of exchange. You cannot receive something without giving something. Sounds familiar, right? Everyone has heard phrases like, there's no free lunch. But the problem is, most people only hear it. They don't actually live by it. They still hope life will make an exception for them. They still look for shortcuts. They still want to get without wanting to trade. And this is where dreams quietly die. Not because you lack ability, but because you refuse to pay with the kind of currency the dream requires. The law of exchange says this: every step forward, every breakthrough, every new chapter in your life begins with an exchange. You trade comfort for progress. You trade entertainment for learning. You trade old excuses for new discipline. Life asks you a very direct question. What do you have to offer? And only then does it consider what it will give back to you. Think about someone who wants a better body. Wanting is easy, but the price is posted. Wake up earlier. Change habits. Say no to one more indulgence. You can't be on the couch and on the track at the same time. You have to choose, and that choice is the exchange. Or maybe you want a better career, a promotion, a project of your own. You look at people who've done it, and it's easy to think, they're lucky. They have secrets. They have connections. But below the surface, the story is almost always the same. They traded. They traded evenings and weekends. They traded stability for calculated risk. They traded easy tasks for hard, valuable ones. They traded getting it done for doing it right. The law of exchange cannot be skipped. You can delay it. You can ignore it. But you cannot erase it. And there's a crucial part most people miss. Many exchanges aren't one big move. They're small moves repeated every day. Instead of one more hour of mindless videos, you trade it for an hour of reading. Instead of scrolling, you trade it for practicing a skill. Instead of talking about change, you trade it for doing one small thing toward change. And over time, those small exchanges accumulate into an asset called progress. Quiet, unflashy, but durable. At this point, you might ask, if everything is an exchange, do I have to exchange? The answer is no one forces you. This is the part that's both painful and beautiful. There's no auctioneer in the sky banging a gavel and making you bid. You write the check for your own future. You're free to keep everything the same habits, the same environment, the same ease. No one comes to punish you immediately. But the law of exchange works quietly. If you don't exchange to move up, you are exchanging to stay still. You trade potential for familiarity. You trade the future for today's convenience. And if you're unhappy with your present, it's probably not because you're incapable. It's because the exchange you're making is too small for the life you want. If you want more, you have to give more. If you want different, you have to trade something familiar for something new. Some people hear this and think, so this law is a punishment. No, it's not punishment. It's the fairest deal you'll ever make, because the world always gives back what you put in and often multiplies it. Those who give discipline receive self-respect. Those who trade comfort for challenge receive growth. Those who trade excuses for action receive progress. There's one sentence I want you to keep as a key. If you want what you've never had, you must trade what you've always kept. That could be a habit, a way of thinking, a social circle, the way you use your time, the way you talk to yourself. Now, I want to bring this down to something very practical. If you're pursuing a goal, do this exercise today, not to make it look nice, but to see the truth. Take a piece of paper. Divide it into 2 columns. Left column, what I want. Right column, what I must exchange. Write honestly. Want better health? You must trade away food that weakens you and trade in more movement. Want higher income? You must trade cheap entertainment hours for hours learning valuable skills. Want better relationships? You must trade ego for listening. And here's the action question for you. You say you want to move up, but what are you willing to leave behind? What are you holding on to that's keeping you from moving forward? If you can answer that, you've found the exchange point of your life. But I need to warn you about one thing. There's something that kills more dreams than failure ever does. It's not lack of talent, not lack of opportunity. It's the cost of waiting. And next I'll speak bluntly about that. Because procrastination doesn't make the bill disappear. It only makes the bill accrue interest. Principle 3. Procrastination makes the bill accrue interest. Do you want to know what steals more dreams than failure ever does? Not falling, not losing, but the habit of waiting. I'm not talking about waiting like waiting your turn in line, waiting for coffee to finish brewing, waiting for a ride. I'm talking about a different kind of waiting, a much more dangerous kind. It's when you postpone action, you delay decisions, you convince yourself that tomorrow will be better to start. And here's the truth I want you to hear very carefully. Procrastination doesn't make the price disappear. It only makes the price accrue interest. Like a bill you don't pay on time. You keep thinking, I'll leave it there for now. But with each day that passes, the number quietly inches up. No noise, no big warning. It just increases. And the bill for your dream is the same. Every day you wait to begin is a day you're paying with a different kind of currency. You lose time. You lose momentum. You lose confidence. You lose opportunities. At first, you don't notice anything. Procrastination always comes with a very dangerous illusion. It makes you think, not doing it yet is fine. Not starting yet is still okay. Waiting a little longer won't kill anyone. But then one day you look back, and you're no longer counting in days. You're counting in months, then in years. And that's when you finally see the real cost of procrastination. I meet so many people who say strangely similar things. I'll start when everything is more stable. I'll do it when I'm more ready. Let me get past this busy phase first. It sounds reasonable, right? But here's what they don't realize. While they're waiting for the perfect time, life is still raising the price. The window of opportunity narrows. The energy to start becomes heavier. The doubts in your head grow louder. It's like you're hoping the item will go on sale. But the next morning you check and see, it went up. And I want to tell you a very typical story. There was a young person who wanted to write a book. The idea was great. He had fire in him, but every week he found another reason to procrastinate. I need to research more. I need the right inspiration. Next month will be less busy. Weeks became months. Months became years. And the book was never written, not because he wasn't capable, but because he waited too long to pay the initial price. And while he waited, the price kept going up. You see, procrastination doesn't just take your time. It erodes something even more precious, your belief in yourself. Every time you delay, you send yourself a message. I'm not ready. I'm not enough. Later. And if that message repeats long enough, it becomes a belief, a root. It sinks into your mind and whispers, maybe I'll never be ready. And then, what used to excite you starts to scare you. The dream that once lit you up now makes you hesitate, because it's no longer just an idea. It becomes a burden. And there's another kind of interest on procrastination that many people only realize too late. Opportunities have expiration dates. Not every door stays open forever. There are seasons in life, if you miss them, you can't get them back. Some opportunities expire, and then they're gone. The price of waiting is sometimes the price of never. I learned that the hard way. There are things in my life I once missed, just because I told myself, there'll be a better time. Looking back, the cost wasn't just the opportunity passing by. It was the lingering ache, the persistent question, what if I had started earlier? But here's the good part, the part I want you to grab right now. The good news is, the moment you start, you stop the interest. The moment you pay even a small amount, you break the chain of procrastination. Action is what brings the bill back to its real price. Action is what makes fear shrink. Action is what brings momentum back. Every step you take, even a small one, pulls the dream from scary back to doable. If you're waiting for courage, remember, courage doesn't come first. It comes after you take the first step. If you're waiting for clarity, remember, clarity doesn't come first either. It comes after you start moving. And if you're waiting for perfect conditions, I want to say this bluntly. The clock is still running. The meter is still counting. The price is still rising. Now it's one small action in the next 24 hours. I want you to do something very simple. Pick exactly one goal you've been procrastinating on. Just one. Then ask, What is the smallest step I can do in 15 minutes? Not 2 hours, not all day, just 15 minutes. Write one paragraph, send one email, practice one skill, clear one corner of your desk to start. Walk for 15 minutes, read 10 pages. That's the down payment to stop the interest. And you'll be surprised, something that small can be enough for life to start responding. The question for you, what are you waiting for to start? And if you know the price is rising every day, how much longer do you want to wait? And next, I'll show you a choice every goal gives you. Just like when you buy something big, you can pay up front or pay later. But remember, no matter which way you choose, you still have to pay. The only difference is you'll pay with discipline or with regret. Principle 4, pay up front with discipline or pay later with regret. Now, I want to ask you a very practical question. When you buy something big, do you prefer to pay up front or pay later? You know, every goal in life offers you those exact two options. You can pay up front or pay later. And no matter which way you choose, you still have to pay. The only difference is you'll pay with discipline or with regret. These are the only two currencies on the table. There is no third currency. There is no way to get around it. Discipline is a daily payment, small, but consistent. It's like paying in installments at times when no one is watching. It's waking up early when you want to sleep in. It's keeping your word to yourself when no one is checking. It's saying no to what makes you weaker even when it's tempting. It's practicing the basics again and again until you're bored. Discipline is rarely glamorous. There's no applause, no spotlight. But it has one thing many people don't understand. Discipline buys freedom. Every hard decision you make today opens more options tomorrow. Every time you resist a temptation, you buy a bit of self-respect. Every time you do the right thing when no one sees you, buy a foundation that no one can take from you later. You don't lose anything by being disciplined. You're buying something very few people have. The right to choose your life, instead of having life choose for you. But let's be honest, discipline can be uncomfortable. It feels like you're paying for something you haven't seen delivered yet. You wake up early, you work, you study, you train, you stay disciplined, but results haven't shown up. And right then, most people get fooled. They think, maybe I'm doing it wrong. Maybe it doesn't work. Fine, I'll take a little break. And do you know what happens when your little break lasts too long? Life doesn't erase the bill. It just moves the bill into another column. That column is called regret. Regret is sneaky. It doesn't show up immediately. At first, it feels like you escaped the cost of discipline. You sleep more. You play more. You delay more. You reward yourself with what's easy. And in the first few days, everything still feels fine. You feel lighter. You feel comfortable. But then time passes and the cost starts piling up. Regret doesn't charge you daily. It charges you in one lump sum at a really bad time. It comes in quiet hours. When you look back and realize, I could have, I should have, but I didn't. And the bill of regret is much harder to pay because it often arrives when you no longer have the time to earn back what you lost. You can earn money back, but you can't earn back the 5 years that are gone. You can ask for another chance. But there are seasons in life that don't return. That's why I say, paying later is always more expensive. And I want to add one more thing so you understand this more deeply. Discipline isn't just suffering. Discipline is a deal. You pay a small discomfort to buy a big future. You pay by doing the right thing today to buy the right to feel proud of yourself tomorrow. Think about health. If you pay up front with discipline, you buy energy, you buy lightness. You buy the confidence to walk into any room. If you don't pay, life will send the bill later. And then the bill isn't just your body shape. It can be illness. It can be limitations. It can be regret when you wish you had started earlier. Think about your career. If you pay up front with discipline, you learn skills while others are entertained. You do small tasks well while others do them carelessly. You build credibility while others only talk. And one day, opportunity knocks. You're ready. But if you pay later, this opportunity comes and you're not enough yet. And that feeling hurts. It hurts because you know, I don't lack potential. I just lack discipline. Now, here's the most important part. I want you to remember a very simple line. You have two doors, prepay or overpay. Paying up front with discipline is an investment. Paying later with regret is a penalty. And I'm not saying this to scare you. I'm saying it so you can be free. Because once you understand this payment rule, you stop asking, how do I avoid the price? And you start asking, how do I pay wisely? So here's the small action in the next 24 hours. Pick one goal you're pursuing, just one. Then write 2 lines. 1. If I prepay with discipline today, what do I need to do in 30 minutes? 2. If I don't pay, what will my regret bill look like 6 months from now? Write it straight, no fluff, just the truth. And the action question for you is, which currency are you using to pay for your future? Discipline or regret? If you choose discipline, I have good news. You don't have to pay all at once. You can pay in installments. Small, but consistent. And next, a payment plan anyone can use, no matter where you start. Principle 5, the installment plan for every goal. There's a reason so many people look at their goal and then turn away. Not because they don't want it, but because the number in their head is too big. They look at the goal the way they'd look at a massive bill, and they tell themselves, I can't afford to pay that, so they don't start. But here's the good news. Most big goals in life don't require you to pay all at once. Life gives you a very fair option. Just like when you buy something expensive, you don't have to pull out your wallet and pay the full amount immediately. You can pay by the month, you can pay in installments. And that is what saves so many people, because the goal doesn't kill you. What kills you is the feeling of this is too much right from the beginning. I call it the installment plan. It's how you turn an expensive dream into small payments you can handle. You want to write a book? That sounds huge. It sounds heavy, but if you write 300 words a day, one day you'll be shocked to see you've got a whole chapter. You want to read 50 books a year? That sounds terrifying, but if you read 10 pages a day, the price gets paid with almost no pain. You want to save a large amount of money? If you think I have to have it right away, you'll quit. But if you start with a small amount each week, you're paying in installments. And over time, that small amount has a weapon that impatient people don't have. It's called compounding. The installment plan has a special kind of beauty. It doesn't demand that you be the perfect version of yourself today. It only demands one thing: consistency. No need to be dramatic. No need to explode with effort. Just be consistent. And here's a line many people take years to understand. Consistency, not intensity. Steady matters more than fiery. Anyone can sprint for a week. Anyone can be hyped for a few days. But life doesn't reward the person who starts strong. Life rewards the person who doesn't disappear. The installment plan is how you don't disappear. Because when you pay in installments, you don't have to be a hero every day. You just have to show up. Just lay one more brick. Just pay one more small amount. But there's a trap here. Many people hear installments and think, so I can do it half-heartedly. No. Paying in installments doesn't mean being careless. Paying in installments means small discipline. Discipline small enough that you're not afraid of it, but consistent enough to change your life. You don't need 5 hours a day. You need 30 real minutes. You don't need one huge effort. You need one small effort repeated. And what's the miracle? These small payments don't just create results. They create the kind of person who can create results. You start to see yourself as someone who keeps your word. You start to believe you can make it to the end. You start to have self-respect. And self-respect is a very powerful kind of energy. I'm telling you the truth. Many people don't lack goals. They lack belief in themselves. And belief doesn't come from promises. It comes from daily installment payments. Now, I want you to look at your goal like a big purchase. Don't look at it like a rock crushing your chest. Look at it like something you can own through the right payments. And here's a very specific exercise. Pick one goal, just one. Then ask one question. What is the smallest daily payment I can make? Not the biggest, not the most perfect. The smallest that you can still do even when you're tired. Even when you're busy. Even when you don't feel inspired. For example, 10 pages, 15 minutes of exercise, one phone call, one page of writing, one email, one short skill practice session. Then turn it into a ritual. Protect it like your most important appointment. No negotiation, because this isn't something you do extra when you have time. This is the payment for your future. And you'll notice something interesting. When you pay consistently, you need motivation less. You start living by a system, by habits, by small commitments. That's when the goal stops being scary. It becomes normal. Normal like brushing your teeth. Normal like drinking water. And that's the secret. Success doesn't come when you do something extraordinary once. It comes when you do something right many times. Ask yourself, if you don't have to pay all at once and only have to pay in installments, what is the smallest payment you can start making tomorrow? And before everything starts feeling too easy, I need to say this. Installments are beautiful, but they have a law of their own. You can pay less, but you are not allowed to miss a payment. Next, I'll talk about something many people underestimate. And because they underestimate it, they keep paying installments forever and never truly own the dream. Principle 6. Don't miss an installment payment. The installment plan sounds beautiful, and it really is. But there's one last line that many people hear and then forget. You can pay less, but you're not allowed to miss a payment. I want you to understand this clearly. In real life, installments only work when you pay consistently. You buy something big, you sign a commitment. You don't have to pay it all at once. But you do have to pay on time. Goals work the same way. You can start small. You can go slow. But if you constantly miss payments, you don't just slow your progress. You do something much worse. You break trust with yourself. Because every time you say, I will, and then you don't, you send yourself a message. Very quietly, but very toxic. I'm not reliable. And once that belief forms, discipline becomes something foreign. You stop believing you can make it to the end. You start living like you only act when you feel inspired. But inspiration is not a sustainable payment system. Inspiration is like the weather. Some days are sunny, some days are rainy. If you only move when the weather is nice, you'll never go far. So why is missing one payment dangerous? Because it's never just one time. It opens a door called. Next time is fine too. Today you miss one payment. Tomorrow you miss another. Then a week later you look back, and you're no longer in the game. You're back at the starting line. Many people think failure is when they do something wrong. No. Many people fail because they break the circuit. They don't do one big thing wrong. They just miss small things repeatedly. And eventually, the small thing becomes fatal. Picture it like this. You're building a bridge. Every day you place one brick. No one applauds. No one praises you. But the bridge gets longer. Then one day you're tired. You skip one day. The bridge doesn't collapse. You think, it's fine. But that it's fine is what's dangerous. Because it teaches your brain, skipping one day won't kill me. So you skip again. Then you start doubting the bridge. It starts feeling far. You start feeling weak. When in truth, the problem isn't that the bridge is far. The problem is you stop laying bricks. This is where many people blame themselves. I don't have motivation. I'm not strong enough. I don't have willpower. But sometimes you don't lack willpower. You just lack one simple thing, a non-negotiable rule. That rule is, no matter what, I still pay something. Do you see the difference? Not, I'll do 100% every day, but I'll do 1% if I have to, but I won't skip. That's how disciplined people think. They don't try to become superheroes. They just don't allow themselves to disappear. And here's the subtle point most people miss. There are days you can pay in full. But there are also days you only have the strength to pay the minimum. Winners aren't the people who always pay in full. They're the people who always pay the minimum. What is minimum? It's the smallest version of the habit you can still do even when you're tired, even when you're busy, even when your mood is low. For example, if your goal is to work out 30 minutes a day, the minimum might be 5 minutes. If your goal is to read 20 pages, the minimum might be 2 pages. If your goal is to write 500 words, the minimum might be 50 words. Sounds tiny, right? But remember, the purpose of minimum isn't to make you progress fast. Its purpose is to keep you from breaking the chain, because when you don't break the chain, you keep your identity. You're still someone who keeps your word. You're still someone who is on the road. You're still someone who is paying. And something strange will happen. When you keep the streak, you start to feel reliable. You start to have self-respect. You start to see yourself as a disciplined person. And from there, discipline gets easier. Not because life gets easier, but because you get stronger. Now here's the small action in the next 24 hours. I want you to do something very specific. Pick one goal you're working on. Then set your minimum payment. Write it down clearly, measurable, and tell yourself one sentence. No matter what tomorrow looks like, I will still pay the minimum. That's the contract between you and your future. The action question for you. What habit do you have where you keep missing payments and starting over, keeping you trapped in a loop where you never go far? And if you only needed one small change to break out of that loop, what minimum payment will you commit to starting today? In the next principle, I'll talk about something many people never include in the bill. They think they've counted everything, but then halfway through they get knocked out by unexpected fees. Principle 7. The hidden fees of ambition. There's a reason many people start out fired up and then disappear halfway. Not because their goal is wrong, not because they lack talent, but because they only calculated the sticker price and they forgot one thing: hidden fees. Do you know that feeling? At the beginning, you think you've counted everything. You see the time it will take. You see the effort. You might even calculate the money. You think, okay, I'm prepared. Then you step into the journey. And right when you think you have it under control, the extra charges start showing up. No warning, no permission. And they usually arrive when you're at your weakest. This is what makes so many people quit. Not because they can't pay the main price, but because they didn't budget for the hidden fees. So what are the hidden fees of ambition? The first hidden fee is criticism. The moment you step outside the ordinary, someone will have an opinion. Sometimes it's strangers, sometimes it's family, and sometimes criticism doesn't come like a punch. It comes like a casual remark. Why are you going so hard lately? Do you really have to push that much? Don't dream too big. It sounds light, but if you're not prepared, it gets into your head. It makes you doubt yourself. It makes you want to slow down just so you're less seen. And here's what you need to remember. Criticism isn't proof you're wrong. Often, it's simply the price of daring to be different. The second hidden fee is exhaustion. Not just physical exhaustion, mental exhaustion. You don't just run out of energy, you run out of belief. Day after day, one task after another, you start asking, I've been doing this forever, why am I not seeing anything? This is where many people misunderstand. They think being tired is a sign they should stop. But smart people see it differently. They understand. Exhaustion is sometimes proof you're paying the right price. The third hidden fee is doubt. It doesn't show up like an alarm. It shows up like a very small, very familiar voice. Am I good enough? Is it worth it? Am I fooling myself? Doubt is a dangerous fee because it doesn't just slow you down. It eats at you from the inside. And then there's another hidden fee everyone faces. Stumbles, small failures, rejection, a plan falling out of rhythm, a bad week, a month off track. No one prints this part on the success brochure. Everyone tells the highlight reel. Few people talk about mistakes. But mistakes are part of the real price. And now, I want to talk about the difference between the person who makes it to the end and the person who quits. The difference isn't that they have fewer hidden fees. The difference is, the person who makes it to the end knows hidden fees are coming and they budget for them. They aren't surprised by criticism because they decided in advance, I don't use other people's opinions as my compass. They don't panic when they're tired because they prepared a recovery rhythm. They understand. Rest is for recovery, not for disappearing. They don't collapse when doubt shows up because they have a clear reason for starting. And they return to that reason whenever they feel weak. They don't quit when they stumble. They just adjust the plan. They reroute. They don't erase the goal. I went through a period when everything hit at once. Loud criticism, heavy exhaustion, constant misfires. There were days I looked at quitting like a cheaper option. Cheaper emotionally, cheaper in effort, cheaper in that moment. But I learned one thing. If you want the reward, you have to pay the full price. Not just the main price, but the hidden fees too. So here's the small action in the next 24 hours. I want you to do something very practical, like a financial planner. Write down 4 hidden fees you will face while pursuing this goal. 1. Who will criticize you? How will you respond? 2. At what stage will you get tired? How will you rest without breaking the chain? 3. When doubt shows up, what sentence brings you back to the path? 4. When you stumble, what will you adjust instead of quitting? You don't need to write a lot. Just write what's real. And your action question is, on the journey you're pursuing, which hidden fee is discouraging you the most? And if you prepared for it starting today, how would you prepare? Because when you budget for hidden fees, you stop getting taken out by surprises. You keep going with a completely different mindset. And in the next principle, I'll show you a secret so that every payment you make today isn't just enough, it's profitable. Principle 8, the value multiplier. There's a question few people ask while they're paying the price for a goal. They only focus on one thing, surviving the process, trying to endure, trying not to quit. But smart people ask a different question. If I have to pay anyway, why not pay in a smarter way? If I have to sacrifice anyway, why not make each sacrifice buy more? That's where this principle comes in. I call it the value multiplier. What does it mean? It means this. When you invest in yourself skills, discipline, mindset, you make every future goal cheaper and more profitable. It's like you're buying a lifetime discount package for your dreams. You pay once, but it discounts your price forever after. Keep it simple. If you learn a new skill today, that skill becomes an asset. From tomorrow on, every opportunity that requires that skill comes to you more easily. You don't have to pay from scratch again. Have you ever seen someone start something new? They pay a lot. They pay with confusion. They pay with mistakes. They pay with the feeling of, I'm so bad at this. But someone who has invested in skill, they pay less because they already paid up front. And that's what's great about the value multiplier. Same goal, but the price isn't the same for everyone. Not because life is biased, but because some people have accumulated internal assets and some people haven't. Do you want me to say it bluntly? Many people live expensive lives, not because life is expensive, but because they lack assets. No skills means fewer opportunities. No discipline means goals slip away. No mindset means small problems become big ones. So, what makes up this multiplier? First, skill is an asset. You spend time learning a skill. At first, it's expensive. You have to practice. You have to be wrong. You have to move slowly. But after a while, that skill starts paying you. It opens doors. It creates value. It lets you walk into a room with something others don't have. And from there, every related goal gets cheaper because you're no longer buying it with raw effort. You're buying it with capability. Second, discipline is accumulation. Many people think discipline is just enduring. No, discipline is like a muscle. Every time you beat a temptation, you get stronger. Every time you keep your word to yourself, you become more trustworthy. Every time you do the right thing when no one is watching, you build a foundation. And that discipline doesn't disappear. It stays in you. It becomes character. At that point, what's hard for others becomes normal for you. You don't need motivation as much as before. You don't have to force yourself as hard as before because you've become the kind of person who does that thing. And when you become that kind of person, future goals get cheaper because the biggest price has already been paid. You traded your old self for a new self. Third, mindset is compound interest. A mind trained to see possibilities, to focus on solutions, to not collapse under difficulty. That is a massive asset. As your mindset gets stronger, setbacks feel smaller, criticism feels lighter, fatigue feels less scary, and you recover faster. You're not someone who never faces problems. You're someone who handles problems better. That's why I say, the value multiplier is the secret to making every payment you make today buy more. Now, I want you to look back at your journey. What are you paying with? If you only pay with effort without increasing skill, you'll always have to pay with effort. If you only pay with trying hard without building discipline, you'll always have to rely on inspiration. If you only pay with time without training mindset, you'll always get pulled down by circumstances. But if you start investing in yourself, every time you pay becomes an investment, not just a cost. And here's the most practical part of this principle. You don't have to go big. You just have to go consistent. Read a little more each day. Practice a skill a little each day. Think a little deeper each day. Say yes to one small challenge you usually avoid. Because every time you say yes to growth, you're buying a cheaper future. I like this way of thinking. Today, you pay for a goal. But the profit is in who you become after you pay. The result might not come right away, but you're building capital no one can see. Skill capital, discipline capital, mindset capital. And one day you'll notice something interesting. You're still pursuing goals, but you're not as drained as before, not as scared as before, not as discouraged as before, not because the goal got easier, but because you got stronger. Now here's the small action in the next 24 hours. I want you to choose one self-investment with a multiplying effect. For example, 20 minutes a day learning a skill that directly supports your goal. 10 pages a day reading in the field you want to master. 15 minutes practicing a minimum discipline habit so you don't break the chain. 5 minutes writing down the lesson after every mistake, instead of just getting annoyed. Just one thing, but do it consistently for 7 days. You'll feel the multiplier start working. The question for you, if you could choose one asset to build over the next 30 days, what skill, what discipline, or what mindset would make every future goal cheaper and more profitable? And next, we'll get to the part everyone likes most, the part where you start getting receipts. But remember, life doesn't only pay you back in money. It pays you back in something deeper, choices, confidence, character, and freedom. Principle 9. Receive the real receipt for what you've paid. This is the part everyone loves to imagine, right from the beginning. The moment you think, then I'll get something back. Then I'll see results. Then I'll get to put my hands on the outcome. But there's a very interesting truth that few people understand before they've gone far enough. Life doesn't always pay you back with money. It doesn't always pay you back with something you can show off right away. Some rewards look invisible at first glance, but they are the real receipt of someone who paid the price the right way. I call those rewards options, confidence, character, freedom. And if you've made it this far and you still think the reward is only external results, then you'll miss the most important thing. Because sometimes the most valuable thing you receive isn't what you achieve. It's who you become while achieving it. Let's talk about options first. Options means you have choices. When you live without discipline, you have very few choices. You get pulled by circumstances. You get locked in by finances. You get tied up by lack of confidence. You have to accept what life hands you because you don't have the strength to choose. But when you pay consistently, when you accumulate skills, when you keep discipline, the world starts opening more doors. Not explosively, not all at once, but enough for you to see. I have the right to choose. You can refuse a bad job because you have the ability to get something better. You can step out of a toxic environment because you're stable enough to stand on your own. You can say no to what's cheap because you know your value. That's the first reward, choices. The second reward is confidence, but not the kind of confidence that's just good talk. Not the kind that comes from someone praising you. This is deeper confidence. Confidence because you've seen yourself do hard things. Confidence because you've kept your word to yourself many times. That kind of confidence is different. It's not loud. It doesn't need to prove anything. It simply stands steady. Do you know this feeling? When you get through a difficult season and then you look back and think, oh, I'm not as weak as I thought. Real confidence is born from evidence. And discipline creates evidence every day. The third reward is character. This is something many people never include in the bill because they think character is just morality. But character is actually formed by your choices in small moments. Every time you trade comfort for progress, every time you choose what's right instead of what's easy, you carve a line into who you are. And over time, those carvings become your nature. You become someone reliable, someone with principles, someone who doesn't quit when the wind gets strong. Many people want success because they want a better life. But when you have strong character, a better life starts finding you. Because people trust you, the world trusts you. That's a kind of wealth few people understand. Wealth in credibility, wealth in inner strength, and the fourth reward is freedom. I think this is what everyone is truly looking for. Even if they never say it out loud, freedom isn't doing whatever you want. Freedom is nothing controls you anymore. You aren't dragged by bad habits. You aren't paralyzed by fear. You aren't trapped by other people's words. You aren't pushed around by circumstances like a leaf in the wind. Discipline buys freedom, yes. And the most beautiful part is rewards often arrive by accumulation. At first they're small, a little more energy, a little more pride, a little more peace. But if you keep paying consistently, they start multiplying. You do things you once only dared to imagine. Not because the world got easier, but because you got stronger. I like this image. Discipline is like a bank account. Every day you deposit a small amount. At first it looks like nothing, but one day you realize you're living off interest. You have strength. You have momentum. You have habits. You have credibility with yourself. And the world often favors people like that. Not because they're luckier, but because they're prepared to receive opportunity. They pay up front. They don't wait for life to feel sorry for them. Now, here's the most important part of this principle. I want you to hear it slowly. The ultimate reward isn't what you achieve. It's the sentence you can say to yourself when you look in the mirror. I did what I said I would do. That sentence buys peace, buys self-respect, buys maturity. And now here's the small action in the next 24 hours. I want you to do something simple but powerful. Write down 3 receipts you want to receive from life. Not just outcomes, but internal rewards. For example, 1. I want choices. 2. I want to trust myself. 3. I want to become someone with grit. Then ask yourself, today, what small payment will I make to buy those 3 receipts? Here's the question you should answer for yourself. If life doesn't pay you back with money right away, but pays you back with choices, confidence, character, and freedom. Which reward are you craving the most in this season of your life? And now, before we end, I want to pull everything together. Because if you understand this correctly, you won't be afraid of the price anymore. You'll only want to pay it in a smarter way. At this point, I want you to pause for a moment and look straight at a very simple truth. Every goal has a price. Not sometimes, always. Every dream comes with a bill. You can pretend you don't see it. You can wait. You can procrastinate. But that bill doesn't disappear. It only changes form. And if you don't pay with discipline today, you'll pay with regret later. We've gone through the core truths. You've seen the law of exchange. If you want what you've never had, you must trade away what you always hold on to. You've seen procrastination accrues interest. Waiting doesn't make it cheaper. It only makes the price go up. You've seen the only two currencies, discipline or regret. You've seen how to pay in installments. No explosions needed, just consistency. You've seen the hidden fees, criticism, exhaustion, doubt, stumbles. And the people who go far are the ones who budget for them in advance. You've seen the multiplier. Invest in skill, discipline, mindset, so every future goal becomes cheaper and more profitable. And finally, you've seen the real reward isn't only money. It's choices, confidence, character, and freedom. Now the question is no longer, do I have a goal? It's, am I willing to pay the price? And I want you to remember this. Life doesn't force you to be great today. Life asks you one very fair question. Today, what small payment will you make for your future? Just one small payment. But pay it consistently, because small payments made consistently are what turn dreams into reality. If these principles resonated with you today, hit subscribe so you don't miss the next lessons, because each video is a small payment that changes your life over time. Now, here's the question for you, and I want you to answer honestly. What is the price of the goal you're pursuing, and what is the smallest payment you commit to making in the next 24 hours? Write it down in the comments, not to show off, but so you can sign a public contract with yourself. And I want to close with a sentence you should remember whenever you feel like procrastinating. The clock is still running. The meter is still counting. The price is still rising. You and I both have a gift today. Use it wisely. See you in the next video.